Hi, Ms. Leon. How are you?
Good. How are you, Courtney? It's good to be with you again.
So good to see you. I'm so excited to be here with you. So I wanted to talk about some of the things that we've been hearing, and it was more about being quarantined, COVID-19. We've seen our students have an increase in sadness, depression, and suicidal thoughts. What have you been seeing?
I think for the most part, what I've been hearing is that students are more vulnerable right now to suicidal thoughts and depression because of the loneliness and maybe just even the lack of structure, things being out of their control. Some parents are working still leaving the home, so kids are having to be home and they have to mature a lot faster, become responsible right away. Lots of pressures that they're facing alone. So I've been hearing that they're just more in a more vulnerable state, and the teachers want to find a way to assist them or get them the help that they might need, or give them the ear that they might need to let those feelings or thoughts out.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So it sounds like with the isolation, loneliness, parents working a ton, a lack of structure, there's an increase in feeling alone,
Yeah.
sadness, and depression. And that sometimes, especially as we know, working in schools and middle school, typically is that can bring on some really dark thoughts where suicide ideation starts to build in.
Yes. And I think students need to know that just because you have the thought or the ideation, like you said, um, doesn't mean necessarily that you might want to act on that,
Mm.
but it is good to have a place to say, I'm having this thought, or someone to say it to. I'm currently having this thought and it scares me because this is what I have thought of doing, or this is the thought that has crossed my mind. And so I think that there's also a fear factor that they have to face, just having the thought or having the idea of, is somebody going to think that I'm crazy, or is somebody going to judge me for having this thought, or should I even tell my teacher, because then they're going to send me to a counselor, or they're going to send me there, or they might think I'm unstable. But if they actually could just understand that teachers right now and counselors and those that are on the other side of their computers are more willing to hear from them than they may know, because teachers are very concerned for the welfare of their students. Because if we're feeling it as adults, how hard it is and how lonely we can feel, and we need an outlet, I think teachers are understanding that their students are needing a place to just say, I'm feeling this way. Because I think teachers feel morally responsible every day. Like, I interact with the student probably more than their parents or anybody else on a daily basis right now. And it'd be really helpful to know exactly how they're feeling.
Right. You brought up some really good points about, now more than ever, as educators, we care, we want to help, and we're seeing things that we might have not noticed prior because now we're like awake.
Right.
Now we're like in a state where everything's changing, like, and so I might notice you're not acting the same you're distracted, or I might see the backgrounds of your home, or I'm picking up on things because I know you,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that this is not the way you typically are behaving. So you're saying like really speaking up and reaching out to those kids would be important.
Yeah, for teachers to, step up and reach out, maybe an email, or just, hey, can you stick around after Google Meets or after our class to chat? I just want to check in on how you're doing. If that's okay, if you have 2 minutes, I have a question for you. Um, and then likewise for the students to just know that it is okay to tell their teacher, the thought that they're having, especially if it's, I want to bring harm to myself, or I thought about that. I don't want to do it, but I have thought about it. And maybe that could lead them to getting some sort of help, getting it off their chest, and letting somebody else know who's a safe person, you know, because teachers, I think, are a safe person that they could speak to say, I don't have anybody else in my home to talk to about this, or I did tell my friend, but they weren't much help. And can you help me? Can you just tell me, am I alone in this? Am I wrong for feeling this way? What can I do instead of the thought that I have?
Mm. I think, like, yeah, I love what you said as far as, like, you know, children are, I mean, even as adults, we're afraid of judgment. We're afraid to be seen as crazy. We're having these thoughts. So the kids are actually vocalizing it. So when teachers can create a safe place of non-judgment and non-panic and be like, I'm here for you. Let's get you some help.
Yeah.
Or I feel like I've felt like that too. Like, relating is, I think it sounds like that was really important too.
Yeah, for a teacher to just say, I can understand that you feel that way, or asking them, why do you feel that way? What is making you feel that way? What would help you stop feeling that way? And just kind of pressing a little bit more than just to say, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Let's get you some help.
Right.
You know what? Let's engage with our student, because obviously they're opening up for a reason. You know, they're wanting to vocalize it for a reason if they do vocalize it. So take that opportunity that's given and expound on it, and make sure that we get them to a safe place as well, and let them know that it's okay that you've had that thought. Let's do something now that you've told me. Let's do something about this so that we ensure that it doesn't happen.
Yeah. So I love the questions you brought up. So you, instead of like pigeonholing it of like, let me get you some help, you kind of spend some time with the child exploring the emotions, the thoughts, the behaviors. Because I think as educators, that gives us a little more clarity of what's going on. Because we're also torn too, like, we need to report this, it's mandatory, of course. But also sometimes a child might use words that they just know will drive the point home. Because me saying, I feel a little sad, is totally different than I want to throw myself in front of a bus.
Right. Right. Definitely.
So really exploring, I like, so you explored with those questions, those are critical, like, why are you feeling like that? How? What is causing it? When, like, all the 5 W's almost, like why, when, how, like,
Yeah.
and then getting to it and then saying, let me get you some help. So what
Definitely.
if a teacher said, like, well, I'm not equipped to deal with this. What are some strategies we might have for them? So, because it could be scary for me as a teacher, right? That, like, my kids have suicidal thoughts and I can't get a hold of the counselor, or the school psychologist is not available. What are some tips we can give teachers to help them when this comes up?
Yeah. I think taking that moment in, and not reacting to like a bomb dropping on your lap. Even though you might inwardly be like, oh my gosh, this is serious, and I'm afraid. It just kind of, how can I control myself in this moment? How can I speak in a controlled voice? How can I, going back to engaging, well, what are you feeling right now? When did you have that thought? How long have you had those thoughts? I'm sorry that you're thinking that way. I'm sorry that you're feeling that way. What is making you feel that way? How can I help you? Or even being vulnerable enough to say, you know what, I am a teacher and I am an educator, and saying, thank you for trusting me with this information. I don't even know where to begin to help, but I think that me just hearing you out right now is probably helping you, in the fact that you got it off your chest. So I'm going to do a little research, and I'm going to try to find a place that I can get you some help, or we can get some help together. If you want, I can be here with you, or I can go with you, or, if you're in a school setting, or I can be on a Zoom call with you if you'd like, when we speak to the counselor, and letting the student know that they're not alone, kind of walking them through it. And letting them know, if you don't have the answers, you're going to find a way to get some help and some answers for them.
Right. So I want to capture this moment as like a modeling opportunity, because when you were talking, I felt so connected to you. Your tone was so welcoming. I could even say when you're taking a deep breath. So I think teachers taking a deep breath and being like, let me calm my tone, let me avoid saying, well, why would you do that? Like, why? So like, even like your facial expressions were so relaxed and calming. I think that's really important for teachers to realize, because we get to see, this is something we didn't get to see before. We get to see our faces now. So I think it's important for us to pay attention of the way we're reacting to stuff when kids are talking to us, because I felt so comfortable when you were talking. I wanted to tell you all my problems. Right? And that's what we want to create, is that environment where kids feel comfortable enough to open up. Yeah. And I love what you said. I don't know what to do, but let me find you the help.
Right.
And I think that's a takeaway message for educators, is sometimes we just don't know, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. It's okay to not know and to find out together.
Right. Let's find out together. I love the strategies you talked about too, is I can be with you with a counselor. Let me find you. Like, how can I help you? And then even further developing, and like, what can you do for yourself today in this moment?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like acknowledging, like creating a conversation versus like a teachable moment.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I think you said it, just showing no judgment, and kind of not taking the teacher hat off, but kind of saying, oh, this is not about social studies. This is not about grades right now. This is about somebody's heart. This is about somebody's, their person, their soul. This is about life or death right now. So let me scale back an attitude or whatever grudge or whatever feelings I might have towards the student. Let me put that to the side and say, this is a life right here. So let's focus on the life at hand.
Right. Like, I like what you said, like maybe not taking the teacher's hat off, but maybe adding in the friend hat or the mom hat or the whatever makes us human, right? Like we're more than just teachers and educators. So bringing that humanistic side to those conversations, I think, is critical. I really like that, because you can be stuck, like, we got to get through all this, and then you don't know how to make that shift because it's really uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now we talked about how teachers and educators can talk to kids when things come up. Well, what is important for students to have in their toolbox when they're feeling depressed? What are some recommendations or ideas you have?
Well, I think something that's important for them to have is trusted people that they can talk to. I think that's probably one of the most important things that they can have, whether it be a very good trusted friend, somebody that is going to hear you out and not judge you and not call you names after you share something like that, a trusted adult, whether that be maybe it's your best friend's mom, maybe it's your older cousin, an older sibling, maybe there is a teacher that you trust, maybe having a group of people that you can reach out to when you're feeling these emotions and when you're having these thoughts, kind of like a accountability, somebody that you can say, whoop, I had this thought today, and this makes me feel this way. When this, it makes me want to do this, and that thought scares me. I don't know what to do with that thought. And just having that outlet, I think, is probably one of the most important things that they can do for themselves, so that they can get some help. Mm-hmm.
So I want to break that down, because there's two important components, and I want to capture both of them. The first one is it's on like creating almost a circle of support, or a group of people that and it might be like, it could be a family member, it doesn't have to, it could be a friend, doesn't have to, a teacher. You need more than one person to kind of be there and to reach out to those people to share that this is how I'm feeling, these are the thoughts going through my head, and then this is how I'm acting out. Mm-hmm. So that was really important. So finding that safe, let's call this circle of safety, where and like we had talked to prior, is like, having more than one person, because we're all going through some sort of crap sometimes, and we might not be available in that moment for that student.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And the second part that you brought up that I think is critical is like, really that language. Like we have to like start understanding how we're speaking about it. That we're not normalizing the behavior, but sometimes it's okay to say this sucks right now, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And or I want to hurt myself, and to get those emotions out, because it sounds like then you feel better at least.
Right, right. Because you're giving voice to your feelings. You're giving voice to what you're experiencing inside. And sometimes our pain is so great that we feel I need to just let somebody know that I have this great pain right now, and I don't know what to do with it, and this pain hurts so bad it makes me feel like I want this to be over. And maybe instead of saying I want this to be, what we're really saying is, can somebody help me through this? Can somebody help me find a different way out of this than what I'm experiencing or thinking right now? Because there is always another way out of the pain that we're experiencing. And sometimes it takes people who have more experience with it or in life to say, yeah, that does suck. And yeah, I can understand how you're feeling. And yeah, that is a scary thought to have. And it's a scary thought for me to hear you, say that right now. But I think that maybe if we could look at what we do have or our situation in a different perspective, then it could help a student say, maybe I am looking at this the wrong way. Maybe there is a different way to get through this. So.
Yeah, so I love what you said, is like when we're in so much pain, we're like we pigeonhole ourselves in this sliver of one part of our reality, right? The pain reality. And you're saying as educators, friends, or parents is being like, look it, like I know this sucks, I'm with you, I'm here with you. Mm-hmm. And let's take a moment to look at other aspects of your life, right? So that we're broadening your perspective so that we can start changing your story.
Yes.
Because if you keep saying, I'm not good enough, I suck, my life is not worth living, I should just end my life, you are narrowing yourself down into a very dark place with no room to move. But you're saying if we can back this up and be like, well, this does suck right now. Mm-hmm. But what are some things that we can look forward to? Or what are some things that you have? Mm-hmm. Like, especially with teenagers, talking about like, what are some things that sometimes that you have that no one else has, that makes you special, mm-hmm. makes you unique. Mm-hmm. And they might be like, well, I know, I really have a ton of friends. Oh, well, you have friends. That's fantastic. Some people would kill to have your friends, right? Like, mm-hmm. So opening that, you're changing your story and you're broadening this perspective, mm-hmm. so that kids have different options. And while you were talking, I was like, this is perfect for math teachers, because there's always a different way to solve a problem. So you're kind of mathematically building this in your curriculum. How do I solve this one differently?
That was a good one.
Or even literature teachers, like, how can I rewrite the story or the fairy tale to have a different ending?
Right. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Paint a different ending. How could this end differently? So you're saying this is the end of the story, but I see a different ending. What if it ended like this? What if instead the character saw all these wonderful things that they had going on for them, and life continued in a different route?
Right?
What would the end of that story look like?
Yeah. And which story do you choose?
That's so good.
Oh, I like that. Well, this was amazing. I feel like so inspired. I know this was a really dark topic to talk about. Yeah. But I feel like as an educator, I'm more prepared to have these conversations with my students. And I think we have some great strategies that are immediately applicable.
Yeah.
And we touched upon a lot of social emotional learning skills and different actually like goals or competencies, if we think about it. Building self-awareness, social awareness. We talked about empathy today, about really putting yourself in someone else's shoes, and then identifying our strengths and what we have as support systems. So this is really part of SEL.
Yeah, definitely. But I really like the ending when you said writing your story. What story do you want to write? What do you want people to remember about your story, your life story?
Right, what is your story going to be? Yeah.
All of our lives are a story. How do you want yours to play out or end out? That's so good.
Oh, thank you. Well, I got it from you. Oh, thanks. Well, it's always a pleasure to have you. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to post this on our social media, and we'll have this to share for everyone. But thank you again for your time. I just feel so inspired right now.
No, I feel the same. We're both inspired.
Okay, well, hopefully I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, bye.